Seriously, you're only gonna need a drill and driver, circular saw, sawzall, multi-tool, table saw, and then you can completely renovate a house. It does take a couple more hand tools. Here's everything that I own. Now, maybe this sounds like a lot of money to you and like it takes up a lot of space. Well, it is, and it does. So I'm gonna take the next 10 minutes of your time building an organization nook for all of my tools while we talk about how to choose a brand and stick with it, how houses are built, and why you would even want to own your own tools. Or maybe we'll just go to the tool library to borrow a few things. Now, I have a lot of tools, but don't think that you have to go out and buy everything all at once. I've been collecting my tools for almost 15 years now, and I've spent a lot more than that $900 some that I put into the title. We'll talk in a bit about how I came up with that number, but I've flipped 2 houses now with a fairly basic set of tools in the grand scheme of things. And you can get by with just a few tools for the vast majority of home projects. If you have a collection of tools, leave a note in the comments about some ways that you've acquired some good economic tools. I'm thinking buy nothing, Craigslist. In the meantime, let me show you how you can build a nice cabinet tool organization situation with some recycled kitchen cabinet and a handful of power tools. We're jumping in probably halfway through in this project, so if you're interested, make sure that you check out the garage video from earlier this year for the beginning. You can see I still have the recycled cabinets, which are treating me pretty well. A couple things that I want to do is there's an outlet behind here in the wall, so I need to cut a hole and expose that for battery charging. I need to build a couple drawers right here to fill this space. I'm gonna put a light fixture up here and then probably run some conduit and then put an outlet along this wall. And then everything needs to be painted, and I have a pegboard wall to put up here, which I've turned into kind of cool plywood storage. Now, I'm not a DeWalt fanboy or anything, although I do really like their tools from a usability and materials perspective. And I like the yellow. I mostly like them though because they're cheap, or at least cheaper than Milwaukee, cheaper than Festool. Sure, you could go get some Home Depot brand Ryobi tools for even cheaper, but those are too cheap. Now, the hard part about this whole cordless tool world is that once you choose a brand, you're kind of stuck with it because it's all about the batteries. They're expensive, they're not cross-compatible. You can find all these promos out there for bare tools, you know, without a battery included. Like buy a combo set and get 1 free bare tool. You might be looking at my tools and notice that they aren't necessarily the best that DeWalt has to offer. There's a confusing lineup of consumer versus professional models, but I'm really satisfied with the mix that I have. If you're like me and just work occasionally on houses, tile your shower surround, build a shed, hang a shelf, then I recommend getting the best you can of the drill driver combo, and then everything else just what you can afford. The drill driver is the holy grail, the tool I use the most often and the most heavily. I've had mine for about 13 years now, and it hasn't let me down once. Sometimes I think it's about to die, but then I realized that the power setting was knocked down on accident, and it's still going strong. There's probably only a few brands that you might be considering when thinking about power tools, and that's because it's what they stock at Home Depot. DeWalt, Makita, Milwaukee, Ryobi. There's plenty of other brands at specialty stores or on Amazon, but these ones are gonna have the biggest selection and the best customer support. I have a DeWalt service center here in Seattle, and I got a circular saw motor replaced for free by just dropping it off for a day. It was pretty slick. Here's my attempt to map these power tools on the cost versus power curve. Start with Ryobi down here, low power, low cost. Makita's pretty decent. And then you're approaching the diminishing returns with Festool. But then I think DeWalt sits squarely in the middle there, which is why I love it. And here's an anecdote for you. I once tried cutting an iron bathtub with a Ryobi grinder that I borrowed from a friend, and it was awful. It was binding up and struggling for enough power. You see, I was trying to get the tub out because it wasn't level and it was causing a lot of water problems in my bathroom, but I couldn't get it out without cutting it in half first. I eventually just went and bought the DeWalt grinder and it zipped right through the rest of the tub. Thanks for watching. This video is not sponsored by DeWalt, I wish, but if you're enjoying our Seattle real estate and renovation content, make sure you subscribe and share with your friends. Also, I'm a real estate agent in the Seattle area, and I'd love to work with you. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home, send me a message and we'll chat about how to get started. Okay, back to the video. There are some nice windows in the garage, but also some very dark corners. I think the goal for right now is to just kind of fine tune these cabinets to make them look a little bit more built in. I'm not trying to do anything fancy here. You know, the toe kicks are just some leftover IKEA kitchen scraps. Grabbed a plywood to fill in a panel here. I think I'm gonna try and do a panel on the side of these cabinets. I ordered a Formica countertop that's like a fake marble, and then I'm gonna fill in the space above the cabinets and playing with the idea of doing some crown molding. I think that'll look nice. And then just some, you know, some trim around the windows. So let's get going. I rarely try to do anything fancy, actually. I got an art degree and I went to school with a big wood shop. You can have saw stop, cabinet saw, Laguna bandsaw, everything that you would need for a fine furniture shop or a bunch of 20-something art students. I've learned a lot about getting things good enough since then. I would love a big 600-pound table saw, but my garage floor is massively not level and I don't even have the time to devote to that level of precision. These days I shoot for a mostly level, flush, and plumb. These DeWalt tools make it pretty easy to achieve that. Except for the kind of janky jigsaw. There's like this little set screw right here. I don't know if you can see that. That's the only thing keeping it square, and it falls out of square all the time after you use a hammer to you know, make it all right again. So not good. We're in the bathroom now because it's another space that I'd love to renovate, and it's a good opportunity to talk about the cost of these tools. I went on Amazon and priced them all, made a list here. So like you can buy the dual driver combo for $150, circular saw for $100, the Sawzall I found for another $100, multi-tool $125. Table saw is a little bit more expensive, $600, but I went and looked on Craigslist and you can find the same one that I have for like $300, which gives you more budget to buy a chop saw for like $225. Sure, all of the batteries are going to be extra, but I bet with buying a combo set, you can get a battery included. And there we go, that's about $1,000 for a whole set of tools. This is the segment where we do a Mr. Rogers style field trip. I've been wanting to visit the tool library in Greenwood, Finney, and it's very cool. I'm excited to show you around. Tool libraries are an awesome space. There's a number around the Seattle area, and you just become a member and then you rent tools for a week or a couple days, whatever you need. And you know, for a very reasonable fee, you can get pretty much anything that you need.
We can see the wrench wall?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Organize, organize, organize.
Yeah, how many tools do you think?
1846.
Okay,
exactly. My name is Eric Moose, and I have been running the PNA tool library for about a year now. Worked as a high school teacher for about 32 years, rehabbed and sold a house down in California, and then I stumbled into this. We had a big tool sale and got rid of a lot of junk and stuff and surplus. Had a lot of hole saws, old hole saws. So we made that for kids coming in. Levels, squares, measuring stuff. This is our weather station because drain comes from the roof, and when it rains, it leaks, and we put in a string, and the string carries water to the bucket. Routers, sprayers, hand trucks, tile saws, Berg field boiler, 200,000 BTUs. It heats the steam radiators in the entire 1917 building. So this is more than 100 years old. Still in use, natural gas now. And this is the inner dungeon where we fix things. We also have some ladder storage, and all of our surplus tools get stored back there. One of our most popular items in the fall is this cider press. I rented it out probably best part of 20 different people. We have to keep stuff like this around. There was about a 3-week stint in the spring where, you know how you got a power tool and the cord right there where it comes out is cracked, and so oh, we should replace that one. And then once you start looking at that, oh, here's another one. Here's another one. Here's another one. So I am cognizant of the tool library ought to pay for itself, but does it? I don't know. Yeah, so that's the tool library.
The garage project is almost done. Let me show you how it turned out. So I was able to do some nice trim here. You can see these cabinets go all the way to the ceiling, which is great. Got a cool, like, what is this? Like a schoolhouse light with a switch all the way down here. I've got some cool little poles here. Everything's white. I've got a nice pegboard. I don't think that I'm gonna have time to build drawers in this video. That'll be a future project, but I am going to quickly finish the countertop here. I'm doing like a Formica fake granite. You can see this is just 2 pieces of plywood stacked together, then this very thin Formica countertop, and this process is very laborious. First, I have to cut the 12-foot long material, which is very thin and very floppy, and then you have to contact cement both sides, both the plywood and the laminate. It's very stinky, and it went throughout the whole house. Celie's room is right above the garage, and it was a little disconcerting smelling it up there. I spent about $700 on cabinets and another $300 on the counter, pegboard, poles, etc. It's kind of silly to spend that much just because I wanted to make a sort of kitchen facade in my garage. I thought it would be funny. But it's also a good way to organize all of my tools, and it's cheaper than a couple nice tool boxes. To summarize, DeWalt is pretty good, but really just get yourself some basic tools so that you can tackle some home projects. If you can at least save one call to a contractor, say you fix some of your own trim or hang a cabinet above your laundry, then the tools are going to pay for themselves. So if you're thinking about making a home in Seattle, send me a message and let's work together. Bye.